There we go. I think you heard me before, but just to be sure, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. It's nice to have you here. I'm Bob Mesley. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering our community, we are grateful to share this time with you. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us that every one of us is worthy of love, and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another, to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention, and to celebrate ourselves more fully, to living our shared values. People of all ages are welcome and an important part of our faith community. We are blessed to have children in the sanctuary for the first half of every service and for the entire service about once a month. The nest is in front, is our designated area for families with small children as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
Well, I recall his parting words. Must I accept his fate, or take myself far from this place? I thought I heard a black bell toll, a little bird did sing. Man has no choice when he wants everything. We'll rise above the scarlet tide that trickles down through the mountain and separates the widow from the bride. Man goes beyond his own decision, gets caught up in the mechanism of swindlers who act like kings and brokers who break everything. The dark of night was swiftly fading, close to the dawn of day. Why would I want him just to lose him again? We'll rise above the scarlet tide that trickles down through the mountain and separates
Thank you, Jen and choir. The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on land that was makes me so sad, that was recorded as being transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in 1829, shortly before the Potawatomi in this area were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. This land was then sold to white settlers. We remember the ancestors of the contemporary African Americans, the individuals, families, and networks of black people who built up our country's culture and economy, a role forced on them at first by enslavement. We acknowledge the intentional violence that landed on North American shores in 1619, has continued through the generations and remains a reality today. Those acknowledgments are but a small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to take what we learn here today and incorporate into our lives and our thoughts into our actions. Please join in sharing our words of commitment. We name these realities with honor for all, respect, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space. Carolyn Laughlin has brought the flowers in recognition of the many You the Vote postcard writers. Is she gonna, here we go. As she lights our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in the words on the screen by Amanda Eudice Kessler, and you read responsively. I'll read the plain text, and you read the italicized. A planet is born, a spark ignites, something completely new comes into being. We give our for the mystery and miracle of life. A waterfall descends, a rainbow arcs through the sky, the ocean opens to an endless horizon. Give thanks for the mystery and miracle of beauty. The stars pierce our hearts, peace envelops us, we are blessed. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of wonder. In the midst of pain, we find our way to hope and restoration. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of healing. In the midst of fear, we do what is right and speak our truth in faith. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of courage. In our aloneness, we see someone in greater need and offer ourselves to them. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of compassion. We gather in community, in relationship, in friendship, and cherish each other. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of love. Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those of us online to greet each other in the chat, and those gathered in the sanctuary to turn to each other briefly and say good morning, especially to someone who might be new to you.
please stay after the service and continue your conversations. And if you're new here to UCE, please, if you're new here, please stop by the welcome table with the red tablecloth at the back in front of the mural to get more information about our community. Let's keep creating new relationships and building kinship among us. Good job. You're getting it, everybody. We're going to stay risen if you're able, and we're going to sing Though I May Speak with Brave as Fire, number 34.
Got it. There you go, yes. Just a little time delay. Good morning. How y'all doing? Another beautiful Sunday morning. So our time for all ages today is a story called Bamboo from a book called 100 Wisdom Stories from Around the World by Margaret Selves. Once upon a time, in the heart of an ancient kingdom, there was a beautiful garden. The wise gardener would often walk through the garden in the cool of the evening, and there she would visit her favorite tree, the lovely and gracious bamboo. Year by year, bamboo grew lovelier and more gracious. It loved the gardener, and its greatest desire was to dance with her. When the breeze blew through its branches, it would sway backwards and forwards, tossing and bowing and dancing its very best, just the gardener's delight. And the gardener's heart leapt with joy to see her beloved bamboo. One day, the gardener came to visit Bamboo. Her brow was furrowed and she was in deep thought. Bamboo saw her approaching, and it danced for her, full of passion and adoration, its fronds sweeping the ground before her in a lovely greeting. "My bamboo," said the gardener, "you know how I love you. Today, I would ask you to help me in an important task." Bamboo was thrilled. There was nothing it would not do for the gardener. "Tell me, dear one," it replied, "what can I do for you? I am ready. Tell me what I can do. Use me as you will." The gardener's eyes were troubled as she spoke these words. "My beloved bamboo, I need you, and I must cut you down in order to use you for my great task." Bamboo shook with horror. "Cut me down," it cried. "But how shall I dance for you? How shall I show my love for you? Shall I never dance for you ever again?" But the gardener was firm and clear, but gentle. My dear bamboo, if I do not cut you down, I cannot use you. Despair froze the heart of poor bamboo as it consented. Then do what you must do, she said quietly. And so the gardener cut down bamboo. It lay trembling at her feet with only its fronds and leaves to shelter it from the cold air. And again, the gardener bent over it and gazed at it with compassion. If I am to use you, dear bamboo, I must cut off your leaves and fronds. A sick cold seeped into bamboo's heart. It again gave its grieved consent, and the master cut off its fronds and leaves and left it bare on the ground. But the worst was still to come. Again, the gardener spoke gently to her beloved. If I am to use you, I must now split you in two and cut out your center. I must scoop out the heart in you. Oh no, cried bamboo. Must this really be? How could you do this to me? I cannot use you, dear bamboo, unless you consent to be split and emptied. Then do what you must, consented bamboo. Split me and cut me and hollow out my center. So the gardener split bamboo and hollowed it out and gently lifted her to a place in the garden where a fresh, sparkling spring flowed. And there she laid it down, placing one end of the bamboo in the sparkling stream and the other in a dry field beyond the garden. The water sang to the bamboo as it leapt along the channel of her broken, empty heart. And the water flooded the dried field, and the gardener planted a new crop. The days passed, fresh green shoots appeared, and soon it was harvest time. At harvest time, bamboo, once so gracious as it danced, was even more gracious in its brokenness, bringing new life to the whole field. Once it had been life abundant, now it was the bringer of abundant life to the world beyond the garden. The end.
I invite you now to settle into a time of quiet reflection as we share our joys and our sorrows. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to be read out loud to this community, you can write it into the book that's found at the table right as you enter the sanctuary. You can send me an email, or you can fill out the Google form found on the homepage of our website. We listen to these offerings with tenderness and with respect, and so let us quiet our bodies and our minds and our voices as best we are able during this sacred time by breathing in together deeply. Breathe in and breathe out. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared before our service today. From Margie Rogassner, 2 big thank yous to my husband, Bill Irons. 1, thank you for your service in the final days of the Korean War. And 2, thank you for 51 years of a well-traveled marriage. Congratulations. And from Becky Taverne, in the time following the loss of my son, Joe, please know that I am grateful to the memorial team and many volunteers who brought such love, beauty, and grace to Joe's service. I am forever grateful to my chosen UCE family for your many, many kindnesses and all of your expressions of caring and support. You are my people, and I feel more interwoven within our community than ever. Sharing these joys and sorrows, the concerns of our heart, is part of the practice of building beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and we lessen the burden of our grief. You're invited now to come forward to light a candle if there's a joy or sorrow on your heart that feels too tender to say out loud, but you would still like to recognize. You can come down the aisles or down the center. There are 3 stations. And if you need a candle brought to you, please raise your hand and we will bring one to you. Please come forward now. For these joys, we give our thanks. For these sorrows, we give our love. Please join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Source of beautiful mystery and generous creation, We offer this prayer while holding together all the sorrows and the joys in every moment. We struggle with the reasons for the overwhelming suffering that seems unending at times. We struggle to understand why we all experience pain and sorrow. We reach for answers and a way to make meaning amidst so much that feels senseless. We continue to bear witness and lift up the voices who are crying for liberation, for a return of loved ones, for an end to violence and destruction. Hear our lament, source of love. Give us strength, give us courage, give us wisdom to help us to keep moving toward one another with compassion. May we cultivate together an ever-renewing sense of what is possible through relationship and interconnection. We are grateful for the beauty and goodness that endures through our most difficult challenges. May we remember to be kind to ourselves and to one another, even as oppressive forces seek to divide and diminish us. May our faith in the transforming power of love be renewed again and again. Amen. And blessed be. As we sing our response, number 123, Spirit of Life, our young people, preschool through 12th grade, are invited to head to their faith formation time with their adult leaders.
As we say in our covenant every Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with UUANI, whose mission is to build power among UU congregations in Illinois to accountably advocate with those who have been historically marginalized. You may text to give, mail in a check, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo in your check what it is for, whether it's for shared offering or some other giving. And yes, we do accept cash. The ushers will now come forward to pass the collection bowls down the aisles. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. Thank you, Gregory. And thank you for all of your generosity. I have two readings, the first by George Bernard Shaw. Well, this is the true joy in life, being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature instead of a feverish little selfish clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to your happiness. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it what I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for life's own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have hold of for a moment, and I want to make it burn brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. Cottonwood Trees by Lynn Unger. The cottonwoods are flinging themselves outward, filling the air with spiraling flurries, covering lawns in deepening drifts. You could not call this generosity. Like any being, they let loose what they have in order to survive, in order that their lives might continue in the new year's growth. The more seeds they spend out on their lofted journeys, the greater the chance for their kind to flourish. There's no hesitation. No one asks how much they will give. Without words, they know so clearly that everything depends on what we call giving, that which the world knows only as creation.
Those lives were mine to
how that's going to be living in my brain, heart and my mind all week. Thank you so much, choir, and thank you, Vicki. Our story this morning, Bamboo, might have felt a little familiar to you. It reminded me of the much beloved Shel Silverstein book, The Giving Tree. Anyone? Yeah. Though I loved that story as a kid, I'm also sympathetic to its critiques. It's problematic that the tree gives up everything, its whole self, for the benefit of the boy without a lot of choice in the matter or so much as a thanks. One interpretation of the message is that women in particular are expected to give up their identity to serve their offspring and meet the demands of the capitalist patriarchy. Another interpretation is that it's a nice story about a boy in a tree. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, right? Like, you get to have your own feelings about it. But in today's story, with a Buddhist message of non-attachment, the bamboo tree is also asked to give of itself. However, there's a mutuality and a consent in this version, though it is frightening for bamboo to give of itself in these ways, an understandable fear that the giving tree does not express. When it's compassionately asked to be cut down, stripped, and emptied, the gardener lovingly positions what remains so that the waters of life can flow through it and offer life to others. In giving of itself, the bamboo is transformed and not destroyed. The story speaks to me of letting go and striving to be a vessel for the highest good. To be truly able to give of ourselves with compassion and generosity, though, we must also be compassionate and generous with ourselves. Generosity of spirit does not mean giving up all that we are or losing our integrity. Giving generously of ourselves requires an honest reflection of the motives and power dynamics at play. We must be able to ask and answer, who is benefiting from what I give? Who is asking? What am I giving up? And what is the larger purpose? Author Brené Brown wrote, "Compassionate people ask for what they need. They say no when they need to, and when they say yes, they mean it. They're compassionate because their boundaries keep them out of resentment." In other words, when we're compassionate and generous with ourselves, we're able to be genuinely generous of spirit with others. When we give of ourselves knowing what we're worth, our generosity has the potential to be life-giving for us and for the world. We can't talk about generosity without talking about the different levels of power people hold in the world and in relationship to one another. History and the present are filled with examples of people holding power over others, demanding too much sacrifice from those who are marginalized without having to give up much themselves, abusers who demand forgiveness from their victims without accountability or repair, hawks of war who propagate conflicts that cost thousands of lives without ever having lost a loved one or serving in battle themselves, corporations demanding individuals make personal sacrifices to arrest climate change while they continue to pollute the air and water without any checks on ballooning corporate profits. True generosity is not transactional. It does not deplete or diminish the giver or the receiver. It is reciprocal. It binds us to each other in a spiritual contract of mutual care and concern for each other's well-being and the well-being of the whole. Our newly worded Unitarian Universalist value statement of generosity reads, in part, our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Compassionate generosity is equitable and empowering in all directions. It takes into account the value of the individual, including ourselves, and knows that we are stronger, more loving, more whole in community. In the book, This Here Flesh, writer and creator of Black Liturgies, Cole Arthur Riley says, "To be human in an aching world is to know our dignity and become people who safeguard the dignity of everything around us." To be human is to be in relationship. It is only possible to be generous in mutual and reciprocal relationship. Charles Feeney, the billionaire who earned a tremendous fortune selling duty-free items at airports, died last month at the age of 92. You might have heard this story. To his billionaire peers, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, he was a hero. Not satisfied to join the pact of those ultra-rich who vowed to give away most of their money to philanthropic causes after death, he decided to give away almost all his fortune while he was still alive, and to do it largely without fanfare or attention. This kind of generosity is extraordinary, without a doubt. Sharing that wealth in the way that he did has made a tremendous difference in many lives, I am quite sure. And yet I wonder if Mr. Feeney's generosity is more extraordinary or more valuable than the person who has very little and gives most of it away. In the story of the widow's mite in the Christian scriptures, Jesus calls attention to the widow, saying, "She who has given out of her poverty has put in more than those who contribute out of their abundance." The same is true when we consider the generosity of heart. It is easy to give of ourselves when we're feeling secure, happy, and at ease. But when we are feeling at our lowest, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, giving our time, compassion, our presence is a remarkable and life-saving gift. It is also a way of claiming our own power and worth. Setting aside our troubles, even for a moment, to be there for someone else who is hurting can be transformative for the giver and receiver. We are living in an extraordinarily painful moment. There is more than enough suffering to go around, and I know many people around the world, in our community, and in this room are at their limit. We are living in a time when multiple things are true, and all of it is hard to hold at once. All of it is hard to talk about. We are living in a time when the gulfs between us feel vast and unformidable. Amidst the horrific loss of life and unthinkable violence in Gaza and Israel, amidst the millions fleeing violence in their homelands around the world, the lure of dehumanization diminishes us all. Though our spirits may feel broken, impoverished, though we may feel empty of wisdom, one thing can be given, and that is our humanity. To hold sacred the humanity in each other, to listen with compassion, knowing we don't have the answers, knowing every word is fraught. This may be the most valuable gift we can give right now. Rabbi Danya Rutenberg, author of the book on repentance and repair, wrote a remarkable piece on October 12th titled, "A Lot of Things Are True." Here are a few of the things she names as true. There is no justification for the mass murder of innocents. There is no justification for bombing a dance festival, for kidnapping elders, children, peace activists. Hamas's attack was a war crime. Murdering Jewish children is not fighting for human rights. War crimes are not the path to liberation. And there is no justification for blowing up buildings without warning, for bombing hospitals, the bombing of children, for illegal blockades that turned tiny strips of land into open-air prisons for over 55 years of occupation, and so much more. And Hamas is not the Palestinian people. And Netanyahu and his ultra-far-right government is not the Israeli people. And it is in both Netanyahu and Hamas's interest for you to take extreme positions. The path to Palestinian freedom and to peace and safety for everyone requires seeing everyone's humanity and rooting for everyone's liberation. That's the way out. That's the only way through. End quote. In times such as these, when so much is true, when there is too much pain and suffering to hold, we may be asking ourselves, what can I do? What can I possibly give that might help? What from our broken, open hearts can we offer to bring about new possibilities? Our greatest gift is our compassion, our unrelenting decision to hold sacred the humanity of everyone. Sacrifice is a word we often hear when we speak of war and those who serve. As we honor Veterans Day, those who have fought for our country and are honored and offered gratitude. Thank you for your service, for your sacrifice, we might say. But how do we understand the real costs of that sacrifice? To sacrifice means to give up something sacred for a higher cause, but it also has roots in the meaning of setting something aside to be made sacred and beautiful. There is an element of transformation involved in making a sacrifice, of giving something up, of offering ourselves for a higher purpose, and through that offering, being transformed as well. We cannot grow, we cannot give without giving something up. It may be letting go of comfort and security when we have enough of it, letting go of tribalism and certainty that we are right, or letting go of our fear that someone might have more than we do. These are the kinds of sacrifices that can remake the world. To give of ourselves, knowing our humanity and our liberation are precious and are intricately tied to the humanity and liberation of all others. Rachel Goldberg, the mother of Hirsch Goldberg Poland, a young American Israeli who was kidnapped from a music festival by Hamas militants on October 7th, speaking to the UN, crying out for help to bring all of the hostages back to their families, said, "Hatred is seductive and easy. And in a competition of pain, there is never a winner." She also told a story that restores her faith in the power of the human spirit to make extraordinary sacrifices for each other. When Hirsch and the other hostages ran into a bomb shelter to escape the militants, there was a Bedouin man who went into the shelter with them. When the militants closed in, the Bedouin man told the young people to be quiet, and he then went outside to speak to the attackers. In Arabic, he said to them that he was Muslim and that those in the shelter were his family, that they didn't need to search in there, but the terrorists beat the Bedouin man and threw grenades into the shelter anyway. He sacrificed himself to save others who were strangers to him, whom he might have thought of as the other. Instead, he knew them to be his family, bound to him by their common humanity. Hatred is easy. Othering is easy. Deciding that one side is right and the other is monstrous is easy. Giving generously from abundance when you are safe and comfortable is easy. Giving of yourself when you feel bereft and have everything to lose but your own humanity, that is a generosity of spirit that is truly world-changing. Though I wish for a world in which no one has to make that kind of sacrifice, and pray for a world in which no one must give of their lives or their values for the flourishing of all, I know that suffering is real and all around us. The forces of fear, hatred, and division are evident everywhere, but our power to love generously, to be present to one another compassionately, remains as well. And we must keep struggling to access it, to nourish it, to feed it. When we feel spiritually empty, impoverished, and broken, how can we tune into the source of compassion and generosity within? Perhaps the best way to know how we are called to serve this world is through the simplest form of prayer articulated by the modern-day prophet Anne Lamott in her book titled With the Three Essential Prayers, Help, Thanks. Wow. She offers a way for those with or without a deity to pray, a way to be in touch with the source of love and wisdom that resides within each of us. We can get quiet and ask the mystery, the universe, the divine connection in and around us, help me to know how to give, show me how to be of use. Thanks. Thanks for all I have and all that I'm a part of, whatever that may be. Wow. Wow, the world is still a beautiful place, even with all the suffering that is also so present. May each of us give what we are called to give of ourselves out of love, compassion, and knowing that we are all deeply connected. May our generous giving return us to a sense of our own worth, and may we all be transformed and liberated in the process. Blessed be. Amen. May we make it so.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying the words on the screen by Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 155.
May our lives be filled with a generosity of spirit that nourishes and sustains us all. May we each be transformed by compassion that flows freely and joyfully, and may our love and true kinship remake the world. Go making peace and co-creating liberation.